When most people think of biodiversity, they think of wilderness, something distant from human society. In actuality, biodiversity exists in built-up areas too, and the University of Maryland is a biodiversity hotspot.
Called a leafy campus, and it's really an arboretum.
But according to students, does campus have a lot of biodiversity?
I think in some ways it does. We do have lots of greenery around, but we also have a lot of urban elements.
There's a lot of buildings, obviously. A lot of the stuff that was here isn't here.
A lot of the same plants are used around the campus.
There are a lot of plants, yes, but in that there are lots of different types of plants. Not really.
As a matter of fact, recent studies have measured the monetary value of ecosystem services to human benefit based on the type of landscape. Using this calculation, the University of Maryland receives $20 million annually in ecosystem services. Where does that money come from? What exactly does biodiversity provide for campus? Turns out, we get a ton of stuff that we often take for granted. Provisioning services, nature providing materials, regulating services, cleaning up air, water, and soil, and cultural services, social benefits from the outdoors, are all provided on a small scale on campus. Let's get into each one of these with some help from experts in the field. First off, provisioning services. The earth provides food and materials essential for daily living, and on campus that's illustrated by the sheer number of gardens that provide local food on campus.
We have food being grown on the top of 2 dining halls at the public health garden. We also have the chef's garden at Stamp Student Union. But making sure that people are aware where their food comes from and that biodiversity that they don't see really affect the quality of how they interact with the environment.
Next, regulating services. Campus trees clean the air by removing toxins. Rain gardens and green roofs filter out debris and stormwater. Bees on campus pollinate, and microorganisms decompose waste. This improves student health on campus from decreased asthma, infectious diseases, and depression.
Okay. So we have a lot of opportunities to really illustrate what trees on a very local scale and what plants on a very local scale can do for us in terms of cleansing the air, in terms of diminishing the power of the wind, certainly in creating microclimates that are shady and cooler in the summer. So those direct impacts, those regulating impacts that moderate our environment, create the quality of life that we want to have on campus.
Lastly, cultural services. Biodiversity facilitates social connectivity on campus, improves mental health, and provides a space for recreation.
I think that the cultural benefits are something that not everybody thinks about on a daily basis. It impacts their recreation, it impacts their appreciation of the aesthetic qualities of campus, and also it interacts with the studies that many of our students have in their classes, which allows them to be more creative in their thought, to relax, to have serendipitous discoveries. And you really only get that through providing a varied palette of plant material.
Why is all this important? Most people in this day and age have become disconnected from the services that support their livelihoods. As a result, they are unaware that simple actions such as eating, using water, and making trash all impact ecosystems. So, what can you do to make a difference? First, learn more about which native plants in your area can provide food, clean up the air, or facilitate social bonds. Buy food from local farmers markets. Talk to your elected officials to remind them how important biodiversity is for human life. And lastly, spend more time outside. It will deepen your awareness and remind you to remember the details.
So what we can do is we can just call their attention to how beautiful biodiversity can be, how functional biodiversity can be, and those areas where it really improves our quality of life simply by encouraging us to notice the details.
The University of Maryland is a tiny piece of the picture, but once you zoom out, you realize that your actions impact the globe.